Hi, my name's Doug Kolash. I've been on the commission for about 6 months now. In my day job, I am a consultant for healthcare IT, electronic medical records. I've moved to Iowa City 2 years ago, graduated from the university, lived here for a year after I graduated, lived in Cedar Rapids for a little while, moved to Madison, Wisconsin, and came back here about a year and a half ago now. So just a quick question for you. What are some of your goals for this position?
Just continue what Sergeant McKnight had going. He was in it for, I think, 2 years. And just going around and meeting all the people, to be honest, it's a little overwhelming right now. As patrol, we're just responding to calls, put the fire out, and then, you go home and then do it the next day. It's almost Groundhog's Day. And I'm just overwhelmed by the amount of work and all the civilian employees we have and all the connections we made. Just going around today and meeting all those folks, it was just wow, we do a lot more than even I knew. I live in town and I work in that building. And so I was meeting juvenile outreach folks today, street outreach, and it's just continuing to foster those relationships and just have it grow is what my goal is for the next 2 years, and then turn it over. I'll be 55 in 2 years. I'll get out of the way and get someone in there with more energy and just pass the torch and just keep it going. This is the goal I've got.
Thanks. Welcome.
I can go. I'm Janvi, and I'm from India. I just got here in August of 2021. I'm pursuing my PhD in counseling psychology. I did my master's back from India and my bachelor's too. So it's new coming here. I am passionate to work with marginalized populations. Currently, I'm working with refugees, doing therapy under the supervision of a licensed provider at IC Compassion. And yeah, apart from that, I've just joined the Human Rights Commission last month.
Okay, I'm Suyin Chen, and I work for the University of Iowa International Programs. I'm originally from China. I came here maybe like 15 years ago to get my master's degree. And so I just joined last month. I'm new on the commission, and in addition to this responsibility, I'm kind of involved in the local Chinese community as well. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kelsey Paul-Shantz. I joined the commission last year. I had grown up in Iowa, in South Central, fairly rural Iowa, and I left. I originally came, my family emigrated me from Canada, and I grew up in Iowa, and I left to pursue studies in international relations and public policy, which I then did, and I worked professionally then in think tanks and research institutions, eventually landing on research related to what I work on now, which is how we think about cities as a means and area where violence can be prevented, and how we think about doing that across the entire community. So taking on board even global goals and global action, such as the Sustainable Development Goals, which 16.1 is to reduce all forms of violence by 50% by the year 2030, and working currently in my day job with a city network of mayors who are committed to that goal. So it's a pleasure, really, to join this group of folks, but also to see within our own community here in Iowa City all of those who are really committed to what preventing violence actually looks like. So my question to you is maybe if there's one next step that you want to do to engage with those who are thinking about across the entire community, how we think about our violence reduction efforts, not necessarily the whole solution, but maybe one next step that's on your heart and your mind.
I think prevention goes with, like I said, I work juvenile corrections, is the youth. And I was a juvenile detective. I worked some pretty severe violent crimes. And I look at these kids and I'm like, where did we miss all these connections from, 5 years old, 7 years old, all of a sudden you have a 16-year-old that's 200 plus pounds with a firearm. We had a lot of swings and misses just as a community. So I think that, to me, is, I see it with foster care. I'm convinced that had it not been for my wife and I, my 2 foster sons and adopted son would have been in the adult system, prison. And Roger can attest to the work that we did to keep them out. Now, they did it with us in the school district and everybody else, but if we can engage our young folks, I mean, those are our future, stars, or the future folks going into the adult criminal system. So that's going to be my push. I guess I feel like that's my expertise. Like I said, I worked juvenile corrections for many, many years in boot camp setting, residential settings. I mean, I dealt with some violent kids, and even in that system, I'm like, where did we go wrong in Iowa to get these kids in these locked facilities?
Yeah.
So I guess that's my quick answer. I might have a different answer in 3 months when I'm
Absolutely.
in this position a little more.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Bijou Maliabo, and this is my last year on the commission. I came to America from the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, in 1998. Went to high school here, Kirkwood, and then university, graduated. I'm a mom, and I'm also a foster mom. And my question was about immigrants, but since you talk about youth, I'm also an interpreter in court, immigration, and the community. I go to the detention center a lot. There's also the Forks and all these other places. There's a lot of students, or there's a lot of youth that just run away and do a lot of stuff besides what you do in your time as your job, outside of your job. I'm speaking because some kids might not want to be open to you while you're in uniform. Is it something that you're open to do and to go into detention to speak to them, to kind of hear them out so you can give them your expertise as a surgeon?
Absolutely. I agree 100%. The uniform is an obstacle to juveniles. I saw that as a detective, where it was almost lip boxing with the officer and the juvenile, and then a plainclothes detective comes up. Or even when I was in a soft uniform, like a bike uniform, it was just easier dialogue. I would work the football games for overtime. Typically, I was in a bike uniform. I did talk to juveniles in detention, my foster son's friends and peers, that some of them were in trouble. So absolutely, I'm open to that. And like I said, with her question of what are we doing in Iowa that we can be doing better, I think it is people like me talking to, the 12-year-old that might be on the path of being the 16-year-old that's looking at adult charges someday. So not only am I open to that, I'm telling you, I work with these officers every single day. They're open to it too. So I feel fortunate to be employed by the city and work with the amazing team that we have over there.
Thank you. As a community leader, I would like to just have that connection with you guys, so to work together and maybe having program in the summertime, because I know they allow them to get out to go see their family, maybe to have something just for them to be able to speak to them, because it'll help them a lot.
When I was a detective, and the kids that were placed in Eldora residential treatment facilities, they would get their home visits for, Christmas or, a day visit or weekend visit. A lot of times I would talk to those kids and they're on GPS tracking or whatever, and I'm like, look, you made this level, one beer could screw it up, or one night busting curfew could screw up all that good time you have. So we did make those connections, at least I did when I was a detective. But some of it comes down to, just workload. When I was a detective, it was case after case after case. So I just didn't always have the time, because, I've got victims waiting for the resolution of their case. But absolutely, we'd be open to that. Or I think that's a terrific idea.
I think you help a lot of, sorry, I'm not trying to take up time, a lot of immigrant parents. That's actually, they will welcome the idea more, because they don't know what to do when the kids come home for visits and then they go astray again to do wrong. So if those home visits can be with, instead of that, or 30 minutes with you guys, I think it'll help more, and they'll welcome the idea more.
I like the united front, that mom's talking to juvenile court and juvenile court's talking to the placement. I'm talking to mom, or the police talking. So everybody, it's this united front. We want these kids to be successful. We're not just trying to hammer them. But then there's no triangulation. So some of these kids get very crafty and be like, well, my probation officer said I could be out till 10. I'll tell mom, no, he didn't. Their curfew's 8 p.m. or it's to be eyes on that juvenile the entire time. So, yeah, I love the idea, and we're absolutely open to it. Not only are we open to it, we've done that over the years. I mean, I did it as a detective, so those things are going on. It's just informally. It's when we have time, and it's not necessarily pushed out to committees and the public.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any question for Sergeant Bailey? Well, do you have any question for us?
No, Roger, I'm just in a learning mode right now.
Yes, yes.
I found out that HRC was something I was going to be a part of Friday.
Yeah.
And here I am. So there was some literature they wanted me to read before I even came. So I'm just here to learn.
Well,
My best comment.
we're excited to have you join us and looking forward working with you and the police department like we always do. And like Bijou said, a lot of us are involved in in many groups here in the community. And if we can be of any assistance, reach out to us. We have member here that serve on the Johnson County Board. We have member here, like Bijou said, she's an interpreter for courts and the school district. So, I get called up in school district to go do some interpreting as well. So if anything we can do, all those members here, they're involved in local group. I know John V works with the Iowa City campus and UAY, and Shannon here works with the Chinese Association. So any of us, we are all involved in local efforts here. So if we can be of assistance in any way we can,
And I'll pass
we
my
are
cell
open
phone
to
and
it.
contact information on to Stephanie, and I'll have her push it out to you.
Yes.
I'm a big texter and call my cell. That's the
So-
best way to reach me.
I can actually, attest to Officer Bailey here being a great community member. I know his wife and kids, and his kids grow up with my kids. My daughter spent countless overnight at their house and their daughter in my house. So I'm actually glad to have you here and work with you again. So
Yeah, and call me Kevin. And I'm informed,
Yes.
especially in this position. Same thing with kids. I mean, when I talk to the juveniles, it's not, well, most of them call me Bailey. I'm not expecting them to call me detective, sergeant, officer. I always just call me Bailey, call me Kevin. So just call me Kevin.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. All right. No more question? Well, we can let Kevin go home to do whatever he wants to do. And
Am I done?
If you want
If
to.
you want.
You
No,
can
I
stay if you
I think I'll
want.
stay.
Yes.
You can if you want.
So then we'll move on to item 7, Commission Committee Overview. I know at last month, we didn't really do much with this because many of you were new. You just got your book from Stephanie, and you didn't really have a chance to read it. So I hope some of you took some time to read the strategic plan. One of the main things in the strategic plan was at the beginning of the year to do a annual focus. So we all know kind of what we're working on. And we did not do that last month because many of you didn't have your stuff. So that's a discussion that I want to have a little bit before we dive into committee assignment. I know from having the background when we did the strategic planning, one of our first focus we talked about doing it was actually the fully implementation of the strategic plan because we didn't have one. So that's kind of where I'm encouraging us to do, to really focus on implementing the full strategic plan with community inclusion. So that kind of will be my recommendation, to bring the commission to the community, so fully implement our strategic plan and maybe have some kind of community connection. So, but I will open it up to anybody and get some idea on the tables. No? Full implementation with community inclusion?
Go for it.
Go for it. We don't need to vote on this, do we? No? So, okay, that being said, also we have 3 subcommittees that we needed to assign people. We didn't really do it last month either because many of you were new. I know some people volunteered to join certain group, and I will go back to assigning member to the commission so we can actually start doing the work. Building bridges, I know we had 2 members, Bijou and Kelsey.
Yes.
And does anybody new want to be volunteer to that group.
No, I was saying I'm interested in building bridges.
All right.
We
John,
did an online survey after last meeting, so I don't know if the results are out or not.
did they send you any online survey?
Everybody had the same number one that did it. 4 surveys, I got 3 responses, and everybody's was the B and B. So that was the number one for everyone. So there's going to have to be.
B&B building bridges. Well, I know Suyan said she was interested in the R&R at some point.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe I
well,
could do
that's
something
easy.
wrong, but yeah, that was my first choice.
So-
on the survey, yeah.
So we'll get her in R&R. It will be me, Suyan, and Sylvia. And building bridges then will be Bijou, Kelsey, John V, Ismail. Did you have any choice? Did you have any
No
preference?
preference. Wherever I'm needed, I can help.
All right, I like that. So then we'll breaking bread, Doug and Ismail. All right, so the point will be here that we're gonna have each subcommittee gotta have a meeting before our next meeting. In your meeting, then you have to come up with certain goals on how you're gonna implement things this year. So if you have your book, you have all the explanation of your subcommittee. What we would like to do is at least have a couple events by each subcommittee going into this year. So I know we are already talking about we're in February, so next month will be March. That gives us only about 9 months of implementation of whatever we want to do. I know the R&R is really working hard on the grant experience. So Bijou and Sylvia, myself, and we'll be bringing you on board. We'll be working on the grantee experience when we hand out the grant and things like that. So if one of you on each group can take a lead to schedule a subcommittee meeting and start working on your stuff, then that'll be the great way, so we can report all that at our next meeting in March. So we cool?
Don't forget
Yes.
Badri also.
Yeah, Badri. So did Badri send in any? Okay. Do you want me to follow up with him, or do you want to follow up with him? Or should we just assign Badri to the?
I was gonna say, the only
Yes.
spot left is breaking
Okay.
bread, right?
All right, so we'll sign Badri on the breaking bread. Maybe, Doug, you can reach out to him and schedule that meeting, then we'll go
I
from
can do
there.
that. I'll schedule that meeting.
This is good. So each group have at least 3 members, so we can get to work. I like it. I like it. I like it. Seems like our meeting will be fast today, Doug, so we might let you out early.
Could I make a point, just a quick question on that one?
Yeah.
Stephanie, I was wondering if you might have a collection of some of the key dates throughout 2023 that human rights commissioners are regularly a part of. So I know we've got the calendar as we update it throughout our meetings, but to the extent that we know, for example, the awards breakfast and things
Yes.
like that, even if a date isn't set yet, just so that those who are new to the commission have it in their awareness and thinking about the opportunities for their subcommittees around those events and activities or in the lead up or follow up to those.
We actually have all the dates set up for the award, the Youth Award and the Human Rights Award. We shared that last month, but we can share that again.
Yeah, the Youth Awards is Wednesday, May 10th. And the Human Rights Awards breakfast is Wednesday, October. It's either the 25th or the 26th. I just got to bring up my calendar.
Okay.
Yes, so we have that. Maybe we can send that out one more time,
But I
but
can send it out again.
Do-
And then I also, it's the 25th, and then I also shared with Roger a,
Yes.
I guess, kind of a calendar of just human rights related
so,
historical observations, religious observations,
yeah.
disability, LGBTQ. I mean, this is a very exhaustive list of just dates and months that the commission may be interested into, and I'll let Roger distribute that how he sees fit.
Yeah, so it's great. So we have all pretty much all year long, all national recognition dates that's coming up that we thought possibly this will be something that Building Bridges want to work on the developing, because we talked last month, we wanted to introduce it by having community organization, community member coming to the council to receive those proclamations instead of just us as commissioner doing it. You know, so I can hand this to you guys if you want.
Sure.
All
Or,
right.
I mean, we might not be the only subcommittee
No,
interested.
yes,
So
but
if you're open to
I have-
sharing it across the group, that would be.
I have a copy of
Yeah.
that, so Stephanie, if you want to send that across the group too, so everybody have it.
Yeah.
That way, when we're working on proclamation and things like that, we all kind of have the dates. I know one of the things that will be coming up probably in March is Women's Month. So that's something that we might have to address at some point.
That's next week, International Women's Day.
Yes. I know it's not on our agenda. We didn't get anything from the council to see if we need to do any proclamation, right?
Or
Women's.
you actually did that as part of the United Nations.
All right. Thank you, Bijou.
What happened? Sorry.
You did the women's,
Oh, international. Yes.
yeah, internationals, yes. So, thank you. But those are extra dates that Stephanie will send that to all of us as well. So we have it as we're working on our subcommittee, you know, glance at those to see which one fits in your month and the events that we're organizing. So I want this year to be to get the HRC out in the community so people know who you are, the work that we do, how can we collaborate with as many organizations as possible. So that's kind of my preference. So anything else on commission assignment now that we have people assigned to subcommittees, we can actually start meeting and start doing the work. So awesome. All right. If anything else, we'll move to item 8. Staff announcement. Stephanie?
I don't think I have anything.
Really?
Yeah.
This meeting gonna be short.
Well, I sent emails usually out with the information, so I guess just as a reminder, there is the Governor's LGBTQ Summit coming up in April. And there's a few other opportunities to participate in some summits coming up that I'll just send out through email. And if somebody's interested, just let me know and we'll get you registered.
Thank you, Stephanie. We'll move to item 9, Commissioner's announcement. Commissioners should not engage in discussion with one another during this, so. Anybody have any announcement they'd like to share?
Oh, March 8th, we
Yes.
have the dinner of
1,000 then?
1,000 dinner, sorry. That's on March 8th, and everybody's invited. I don't know if Stephanie, maybe I'll send the link for your ticket if you want to purchase a ticket, but you're welcome to come.
So can you send that to Stephanie so she can send it out to the commissioner again? I know you have sent it before, but.
I didn't get any takers, but yeah, if you can send it again, I'll send it back out.
Yeah, I'll just resend you what Barbara had.
That would be great.
I know we're not allowed to do discussion, but can I ask a question?
Yes.
What organization is that with, and what is it?
Oh, the United Nations Association, the Johnson County chapter. Yes,
Very good. Thank you.
you're welcome.
And I believe this is the first year that they're coming back to a in-person hybrid online, right?
After that was first year after COVID, yes.
Okay.
But before that, it was always in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody else?
I was wondering if I could ask a question to the commissioners who were present for the acceptance of the mayor's proclamation for Black History Month, if you wanted to provide an update on that.
Yes, I was actually going to provide an update. So myself, Bijou, and John V. were at the Black History Month acceptance proclamation. The idea was to bring in some community organization that deal with, represent the Black community. So we reach out to some people. I know Bijou reached out to Monique Washington. She was present. I reached out to Badri, which connected me to Ismail from the Sudanese Association. That Ismail was present, and also reached out to some Congolese Association. They also had a couple people present. We had people from the Black Voices Project present. So we had a representation from the Kenyan community. And so it was probably about 20 people here to be part of the receiving of that proclamation. The mayor printed few proclamations to make sure that each organization at least had a proclamation. So it was good. I think it was our first one that we tried to involve the community. So we can always do better. I think we can always organize it better. So, but I was excited that it was not just a commissioner receiving the proclamation on behalf of other community. It was actually member of each of those community. Because when you're talking about the Black and African American community, you have the native that are born here, but you have also all those immigrant group that representing the Black and African American community as well. So we try to involve as many as we can without just filling up the room with just organizations. So I think the representation was there, and people took the time to speak, and the council took the time to listen. There's video of that if anybody's interested in watching that. So everything from the council meeting, there's always video. So you can go to the council's page, and there's a YouTube video. You can watch that. I thought it was nice to have different people that are actually member of those communities stepping up to receive those proclamations. I took I did some remarks, then pass it on to each of those community that had their remarks as well. So, and they took a picture, and they took the proclamation and took it with them. So I thought it went well. It was a little chaotic in the beginning because there were so many people in the back, but it went well. So John V and Bijou were there, so they can chime in with anything that I missed.
No, you said it all. It was good.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it was a nice experience, and to hear different people and what they had to share from their life experiences was amazing.
yeah.
Actually, I just want to add, really after that, we spoke with one of the Black Voice project, I think Mary, and she's amazing. Like
Marianne?
hearing her,
Marianne?
Mary?
No, I think it was Mary.
Marianne Coleman.
Yes.
Marianne, I guess, yeah. And her history about what she's done in the community is great. So I think that's the purpose of,
Yeah.
get to know this organization and know what they do, who they are, how they've served, and what, how they are serving in the community. So we learned
And she
a lot.
said she was the first person to retire in the schools.
Yes.
It's the first black person to
Black.
retire in the school system, which speaks volumes about
Yeah.
people's experiences.
She worked for this school district for 40 years. And she was the first equity director for the school district. So she had just she wore a lot of hats for the school district. And she's an amazing community person. She's a great leader and always there when you need her for advice or something. So it was great. Anybody else?
I'll just give an update. It's mostly scheduling, but because it might relate to content of interest to fellow commissioners, just to share. So during our next meeting, I might need to be absent or at the very most participating virtually because I will be on work travel again. I'll be in San Diego for a meeting of authors that we've commissioned to be a part of a project on essentially defining a field of identity-based violence in cities. And so really combining the spaces of identity-based academic literature as well as urban violence reduction and finding the commonalities and setting a course where that can be, you can actually have citable data on those spaces as well as understanding how structural and acute violence might relate to one another as well. So this is just the launch of this research project. This is the first time that we're gathering our authors that will be a part of it, but it will be a multi-year thing as well. But unfortunately, it coincides with our next meeting date, so at the very most, I might be able to participate virtually, but if not, know that I'm still in full support of the work of the commission, just on site with that activity.
Maybe we can just have a meeting in San Diego.
Yeah, you're welcome to come.
Anybody else have anything else to share from the commission part? Anybody have anything to share from their work in the community that they're excited about? None? Stephanie, do you have anything else to share?
I don't.
Kevin, do you have anything else to share? Well, if there's nothing else, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn so we can go home early today.
Yes.
So moved.
All right?
A second.
Second by Ahmed.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor to adjourn, say hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll end up losing it.
No sign. All right, guys.